What if a home started as just dirt? No guarantees. Just raw effort versus the ground. A foundation will be carved. Walls of white block will rise. Heavy concrete will pour. But the work starts here, measuring the empty space. The trenches were ready. Time for the formwork. He marked the OSB board. The circular saw bit into the wood. Clean, straight cuts. He carried the long boards across the lot. The drill whined, fastening the pieces into a wide circle. The shape of the build was set. The frame needed anchors. He drove metal stakes into the ground, heavy hammer strikes. He sat inside the ring, checking the width. The circle had to be perfect, or the foundation would fail. The frame was secured. He placed the laser level on a block. A bright green line marked the height. Then came the rebar. The angle grinder threw sparks, cutting the steel rods to size, building the grid. The grid was tied. Then the heavy equipment arrived. The mixer truck poured thick concrete. He guided the chute, shoveling the gray mass evenly. Trapped air is the enemy of a slab. He dropped the vibrator tool into the mix, shaking the bubbles out, settling the foundation. The concrete cured hard. A moisture barrier came next. He knelt on a pallet, cutting the thick black roofing stuff, first with a hand saw, then finishing with the grinder, protecting the future walls from damp earth. The base was prepped. Time to build up. He shoveled sand into the wheelbarrow, added the dry cement, then water from a black bucket, mixing the mortar by hand, getting the grip just right. first rows were laid. He placed the spirit level against the curve, checked for plumb. A few taps with the rubber mallet. The white blocks had to sit flush. He squeezed adhesive from a tube, then cut the end block to fit. Precise, steady work. Dust ruins the glue bond. He swept the block clean with a brush, sanded the high spots down. A thick bead of green adhesive went on next. He set the next white block, pressing it firm. The curved wall grew higher. The walls reached the top. Inside the workshop, the focus shifted. A metal ring for the roof. Sparks flew against the black mass, welding the steel frame. The structural heart of the dome. Back at the site, the wall needed a solid cap. He filled a bucket with thick mortar, poured it directly over the top course, sealing the white blocks, creating a bond beam. mortar dry. The steel ring was hoisted up. He positioned the heavy wooden rafters. The power drill drove the screws home, locking the brackets to the timber. The frame was secure. He grabbed the spray gun, coating the raw white blocks, a protective shell against the weather. The paint cured. He marked a large sheet of OSB. The jigsaw sliced through the board. Cutting the triangular roof panels, he fitted the wood against the dome, then rolled out the white roofing frame. The utility knife sliced the plastic, waterproofing the shell. The membrane was tacked down, but every nail hole was a leak risk. He held the caulking gun steady, squeezing white sealant over each head, patching the weak points. He moved inside. More brackets, more hammering. He ran the caulking gun along the roof joints. Thick lines of sealant. Drafts would ruin the insulation. Every seam had to be tight. Winter arrived. Snow covered the ground. He installed the white window trim. The spray foam had expanded and cured. He took a blade to the excess, slicing it flush. The windows were sealed. The insulation was packed in. He climbed the ladder, unrolling a massive sheet of vapor barrier, pushing the plastic tight against the dome, trapping the heat inside. The plastic was pinned up. He grabbed a hammer, driving nails through wooden strips, clamping the barrier hard against the block wall. A permanent seal. He needed more wood. Outside in the snow, the saw bit into timber, cutting thin trim strips, then back inside out of the cold. He stood high on the ladder, hammering the strips across the curved ceiling, locking the plastic down forever. The room was sealed. Now it needed heat. He set a gray tile base on the floor, positioned the heavy black stove, then fitted the stainless chimney pipe. Shiny steel locked together with metal clamps. The drill tightened the bolts down. The tools were cleared out. He knelt on the white floor, unrolling a thick patterned rug, bright colors against the pale blocks. The empty shell felt different now. true test. He fired the blowtorch. The dry wood caught fast. Bright orange flames filled the iron box. The dome was finally a home. But the project wasn't over. A second, massive structure was planned. Scale changed entirely. 4 men muscled the heavy metal chute, guiding wet concrete over a huge rebar grid, smoothing the gray sludge across the steel. A heavy-duty base. The main pour was done. They hit the low spots next, adding thin layers of concrete, filling out the massive foundation, leveling the immense footprint. the concrete cured solid. The hand-built blocks were gone. This was heavy assembly. The drill locked down the floor plates. Then the sky went dark. A crane swung a massive wall panel overhead. Tons of timber floating on a cable. The crew waited below. The panel dropped into place. The nail gun fired. Rapid, loud cracks, anchoring the thick OSB to the bottom plate. The drill drove lag screws through the beams, locking the giant wall tight. Another panel arrived. He ran construction adhesive along the beam, industrial glue to fight the wind. The crane lowered the next section. He stood high on the ladder, pushing hard against the massive sheet, jamming the joints together. The structure grew fast. Not everything used the crane. Two men grabbed a heavy frame from the slab, dead weight on the concrete. They lifted together, muscling the bare timber upright, fighting gravity and balance, positioning the raw wall by hand.
Перевес идет, что? Я здесь снизу беру, выше не могу. Где банка твоя пятнашка? Сейчас бабушка поставлю, подожди.
Ты, может, поснимаешь, а я потом помогу?
Все, толкай теперь, я просто планирую шукать. Подожди. Еще одна пятнашка.
The walls were up. Now the roof joists. He stood on the scaffold, drilling brackets into the high beams. Then the crane returned, lowering a long timber from the blue sky. The crew stood ready on the slab. Watching the shadow fall, they caught the beam and guided it in. the frame was nearly closed. He sprayed foam down the last seam. The crane dropped the final panel. A bare lot is now a sprawling compound, a white dome built by hand, a timber frame raised by crane, a foundation poured to last. Real homes are willed into existence.